Well, it is time to switch out the water system for the quail. So, go from the winter to the summer system. These are my hoses that I use to hook up to my gravity-fed water bucket, and I have not cleaned them out, and you may be able to tell. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's just all kinds of gunk inside of them. But I do find it easier in the wintertime. These are pretty stiff because it's cold out, and I find it easier to actually work with them in the, when it starts to warm up and it's time to change it out. So I find it easier to clean it out there, and this tends to dry up all this stuff inside there. And for the most part, I mean, I can just fling it around, and most of that stuff comes out. But I am going to spray a hose through it and wash it out real quick. Kind of flex it around a little bit and usually break that stuff up. And you can see, I mean, most of it just comes right out. I mean, just flinging around. But I am going to spray it out with a hose just a little bit, just to make sure. Already got pressure going. Just to make sure it's all clean. May get myself sprayed with water here. It happens quite frequently when I do this, so I always try to do it on a warm day. That's really about all it needs, probably. That looks pretty clean. Get it once from the other side. And if there's a lot of stuff, there's not on this hose right here, but if there's a whole lot of stuff stuck on there, I'll get a piece of string or something like that, feed it through and run it back and forth several times and break that stuff up. But this hose looks pretty clean. So now I got to get the other one, which is probably a little bit dirtier, and I got to get this T-fitting cleaned out. It's got some, basically it's just algae buildup, which happens over the course of the summer. There we go, got it off there. So usually, like I said, just spray it out. It's usually all it takes. And I can't show that on camera, but that is clean. I mean, it's cleaned out now. So this one, I could probably fling some stuff out of it, but it's got quite a bit. Let's try rinsing it out. Yeah, it's blocking the flow. It doesn't even want to flow through. So this one's going to take a little bit more work to get clean, but we can do it. Sometimes if I just flex the tube a little bit at these spots, I can kind of break that up and get that out of there. It helps to smack it against something. And that helped a little bit. There we go, now we're starting to get it out of there. Yeah, that did a pretty good job, actually. And I still got a bunch of it right there in the middle, but it's moving. So, and as a last resort, this is probably pretty dirty, but I've cleaned it off quite a bit. So, see if I can blow it out, but I can't. Almost did. There went a whole bunch of it. That's most of it. I may have to get a string and run through here. It's an awful long piece of tubing to do that, but let's try spraying it again. I'm getting myself soaking wet. Didn't even notice. But oh well. It's not cold out today. It's nice and warm. It's like 80 degrees. another thing to try. It's getting there. Let me go find something to run through it, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I found a piece of a metal coat hanger, which I don't even think they make anymore. Too bad, because, man, there's so many uses for metal coat hangers. And it's just long enough to reach the spots that I need to break loose. And all I need to do is just kind of break this stuff up a little bit, and then I'll spray the hose through it again, see if I can wash the rest of that out. I don't think there's anything in this side to break up. A little bit of surface algae there. That's not that big a deal. It's not going to hurt anything. But I can clean it up a little bit right there. I'm just running this wire along the edge of that, kind of scraping it clean basically. Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's see if that was enough to break it all up and get it out of there. Yeah. Somebody must be barbecuing. I can smell it. It smells pretty good. And that's it. That hose is cleaned out. It's really not that difficult. I got a little sloppy with it because, well, like I said, it's warm out. I don't really care if I get a little bit wet. So now I'm just going to put it back together. I'm going to go put my wire coat hanger up somewhere where I don't lose it because, like I said, you can't find those anymore. They're pretty handy. So, all right. So got the water, or the. Oh, one other thing I'll show you real quick. I've already cleaned these up. These cups right here are the piece of my watering system. So here, let me get you out of the sun because I'm like a little overexposed here. Okay, that might be a little bit better. These are the cups I use on the watering system. You can see it's got some hard water stains in there, some like calcium buildup or something. I scrubbed on it and got as much of that off as I could without putting too much effort into it because I really don't care. It's not that big a deal. But basically with these things, what I do is you just twist them and it comes right apart. And then I'll pop off this piece right here, make sure that O-ring right there is still good, and basically just scrub this stuff down inside. It's a pretty simple process, and then just put it back together. And that's it. It's ready to go. It doesn't take but a few minutes to do that. I've already cleaned them up. So I got to go get these attached to the watering, the PVC pipe that runs the water to them, and I'll just pick it back up out there. Let me go put this coat hanger up. All right, so bring a little stool out here because it's hard for me to reach the back of that cage without a little bit of an extra step. Move that concrete block out of the way. All right, this is going to be tricky for me to show while I'm doing it. I'll try to move the camera around there maybe where you can see. First thing I'm going to do is connect this hose to the bucket over here. Run this hose. This one goes to one cage, one goes to one hutch, one goes to the other hutch. So I'm going to run these through, and then we'll work on getting them connected from there. All right, so this is the bucket that's going to feed this watering system, and you know, in the past I've kind of hung it up, I've tied it up in the tree, but there's this limb hanging out here, so I just hung it on this limb, thought, no, I think that'll probably work. The bucket itself, I probably should have cleaned that out a little bit better. I've got some gunk right on the inside of this outlet. It doesn't look too bad. Let me see if I can find a stick or something to poke in there and clean that out a little bit. Now I got a stick inside the bucket I need to empty out. Yep, it'll be fine. It's not too dirty at all. Alright, so what I've got on here is a, oh, I can't remember what this thing's called. With this little piece that connects it to the bucket. is called. I always forget the term on that. Maybe I'll remember before the end of the video. Otherwise, I've got a whole video that when I built this thing. You can probably figure it out. That's a, oh my goodness, I gotta look it up. I can't remember the name. I have such a hard time with that. It's a bulkhead. There we go. It's a bulkhead is what it's called. And then I've got a piece that screws into that that's a hose barb, basically, that just fits this hose. Now, I don't remember what size these hoses are. It's not really important. Just make sure that, you know what size your hose barbs are. You can get the hose barbs that connect to the PVC and the hose barbs that connect to the bucket, and use that size diameter. I don't remember what this is. It's, I'd be lying to you if I tried to guess and it doesn't have it written on there. So anyway, this just feeds through the side of the cage and connects to the PVC tubes inside, which I'll show you here in just one moment. And then that's pretty much it. Let me go ahead and get this one connected, and then I'll try to bring you in and show you how I'm doing the other one. All right, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try and see if I can show you what you see from that angle while I connect from the inside of the cage. Pretty much got to crawl in here. So this is my PVC tube that's got these right here where the cups fit on, which actually I need to grab those. Hang on, they're on top of the hutch. There we go. And these cups just screw into that. Now, if you have problems with them leaking, none of this is glued. This is all just pressurized. It's not pressurized system, so it's all just press fitted together. So I can take it apart if I need to. But these cups just screw in. If you have difficulty with them leaking right there at the cup, put some Teflon tape around the threads. I've found it's usually not necessary, so I just don't bother with it. If I have problems with leaking, I'll come back and do that, but I usually don't. So, and I just screw them in snug and make sure they're facing the the right direction so they don't dump all the water out. If you've never used these cups before, then the thing to know about them is that they do not hold water all the time. The birds are going to peck that little yellow stopper inside the cup, and that's what's going to let water into the cup. Pretty easy to train your birds to it. It keeps the mess down, which I like quite a bit, and they've always worked really well for me. So, all right, 2 of them in, 1 more, and then, oh my goodness, it's a little bit of a reach to the back of the hutch. I probably should have put these on the side instead of the back, but oh well. And then I've got these held onto the cage with just pieces of plumber's tape here that I've, screwed in. It's aluminum. I guess it's aluminum. I don't really know, honestly. It's some kind of metal tape for holding up like piping and stuff. I've just screwed it into the side, so I could take it apart, undo these screws, take this out, and put it together. But I really don't want to mess with doing that. So, and then this hose barb just screws into the side. I say just screws in. It's a little bit tricky for me to reach that and get that in there. Again, if you have problems with it leaking right here, throw some Teflon tape around those threads, but it's not a pressurized system, so it's usually, as long as I screw that down fairly well, I usually don't have any problems whatsoever. And then the hose goes on. There we go. And this is way easier to do in the summer when it's a little bit warm than it is in the winter when it's cold. That thing is incredibly difficult to get on and off there when it's cold out. And then because this isn't glued, I can adjust these cups. I can turn that and adjust these cups. And if I have problems with birds wanting to stand in the cups and cause a flood, you could run something over the top of this, screw something to here that would stick out, let them get their heads through, but not be able to stand on top, if that makes sense. Just, it wouldn't take much, just something that sticks out that keeps them from standing on top of the watering thing. So really, that's about it. It's pretty much hooked up. I just got to fill the bucket up and check for leaks. All right, so to fill it up, I've got this hose through the lid that I can hook my garden hose up to and fill it up with that. But honestly, it's probably easier just to bring out jugs of water, or just as easy anyway, and then just dump them in. So I'm gonna have to run the air out of the line. So I'll get 1 gallon in there, run the air out of the lines, and then we'll put the other gallon in. And that's a good sign that it's still, you probably can't tell this on camera, but the water's not flowing through there. So that means I probably don't have any leaks, because if I did, the water would be pushing the air out the leaks and it'd be flowing through. So I'm gonna have to purge it and basically just run the air through the, basically all I'm gonna do is stick my hand in here. Here, let me bring it around where you can see what I'm doing. All right, hopefully you can see in there. And you can see these birds right here. I mean, they're already at the water cups. They already know what they are, so they don't really need to be trained to them. They're gonna be just fine drinking out of these when I take their other water away. And pretty much all the birds in here are that way. They've drank out of these water cups before. If you have to train them to the water cups, it's super easy to do. What I'm gonna do to purge the system is just reach in here and push this, and you probably can't see it, but I can see water starting to flow through, and it's spitting air now out the cup, and it's starting to it's filling the cup up with water. So I'll do that on each one of these cups, fill them up so that they know there's water there, and then as they drink the water, as they try to get the last couple of drops of water, they'll end up pecking that yellow plunger in there, letting more water out and figuring it out from there. And that one's dripping, but I think it's just because I filled it up. So I'm going to give it a little while and see if it continues to drip, because it may be running from the, no, I think it's probably just what I filled up, but we'll see. So let me get the other gallon of water in there. I'm not going to bother. This is a 5-gallon bucket. I only got 2 gallons of water with me, but these guys are not drinking a gallon of water a day. So what I'll do is the next several days when I come out to collect eggs and feed and all that, I just bring a gallon of water with me and dump it in the bucket. And then after, you know, I'll stay ahead of them. I'll be adding more water than they're drinking every day, if that makes sense. So by the end of the week, it'll be pretty much full. And then I just bring a gallon of water out every once a week, something like that, depending on how many birds I've got. And that will do it. So right now they've got a 2-gallon waterer in there. Of course, I'm pretty low on birds. I haven't started ramping up for spring and summer yet. So they got a 2-gallon waterer in there, and they're going through. They may go through that in 2 weeks, something like that. So, 2 gallons is going to be plenty to get them through until tomorrow when I bring another gallon out. Instead of having to go make multiple trips and fill it all up right now, I'll just do it over the course of the next couple of days and get it filled up. But let me go ahead and dump this other one in there, because I brought it out, might as well. And I keep the lid on that bucket. I don't know if you could even see me while I was doing that. I keep the lid on that bucket so I don't get a whole bunch of debris falling out of the tree into it, don't get mosquitoes in it, that kind of stuff. Although it flows pretty regularly, so there shouldn't be mosquitoes, but you never know. And that's it. I did have something hooked up for a while, you may remember, and it may be in the video that I'm gonna, that I shared with you about when I built this. I can't remember if it was in that video or not, but I had a hose hooked up straight up that will tell me the water line in the bucket, but I ended up getting rid of that because it really wasn't that helpful. I can just feel the bucket and tell how full it is, so it's not really that big of a deal. But anyway, the birds have already found it, so it's time to take their other winter watering system out and get it cleaned up, because it is pretty dirty right now. And so when my birds don't jump out when I'm doing this. And this is the system I use in the wintertime. It plugs in. Let me get this closed up and I'll show you. This plugs in. It's filthy right now, just dusty as can be. Plugs in, has a heater in the base that kicks on when it gets down below like 35 degrees, and it kept this thing from freezing up all winter long. We had below 0 temperatures, and it never once froze up, so it's worked pretty well. Both of these, I did have somebody remind me, let me set that down because it's got half full of water. It's gonna get heavy. If you're looking for that, for like a wintertime solution, if you're looking for most of the things that I use, somebody asked me where I could find the PVC tees that I use for my watering, that the cups screw into. That's all on Amazon. In my description, there is a link to my Amazon shop. If you go there, you'll be able to find those products that I use. So if there's ever anything in one of my videos that you're like, hey, where did you get that? Check my Amazon shop, because there's a good chance that it's right there. Now, I will tell you, you go through that, I earn a little bit of a commission off those things. It doesn't cost you anything more. But if you don't really want to pay me a commission, like I said, it doesn't cost you anything, but if you don't want me to get a commission off of it, then just go look it up on your own. You can find it on Amazon pretty quick, and no hard feelings. So I think that's it for this video. I do like this automatic watering system for the birds. It works great. It keeps the mess down. I don't have a watering, you know, like this big tank inside the hutch anymore, so it gives more room. It's just, all in all, it's a better solution. I just haven't found a way to keep it from freezing in the winter time. So in the winter, I switch over to that, keep that in the hutch, and they get watered all winter long without it. And that works pretty well because I pare down the number of birds I have. It's only a 2-gallon waterer. But anymore, I'd be worried about it pulling the floor away. It does a pretty good job. As long as you keep it out of the wind, it works great. And that's actually what I've got my chickens watering with right now, is one of these, because the water I was using in there just isn't big enough. They're drinking it dry 2 or 3 times a day, and I'm not here all day, so I switched over to that 2-gallon water for them, and we'll see how that does. So anyway, I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, you learned something. Oh, by the way, people are asking how the chickens are doing. Maybe before we close this out, we'll go take a look and show you the chickens and show how they're doing. I need to check on them anyway. So let me get this stuff cleaned up real quick. I'll be right back with you. We'll give you a shot of how the chickens are doing. They're now just a little over a week old. They would be a week old, about a week and a half old total. We got them last Thursday. Today is Sunday. So we had them a week and 3 days, something like that. And they were probably, you know, a day and a half, 2 days old when we got them. So, you know, they're a week and a half old roughly at this point right now. We'll go take a look at them. Those of you guys have been following along, you got to see them in the last video, so you'll be able to see kind of how big they are now compared to the last one, how fast they're growing. Give me a minute, let me get this stuff cleaned up, put away, and then we'll be right back with you and we'll get a shot of them. All right, so it's very, as soon as I start talking, they freak out. It's very cramped in here, so I'm not going to be able to get in the camera probably with you. But you can see in here, I mean, that's how they're doing. They're going through that feeder. I still got them on 24 hours a day feed. I'm going to start cutting them back to feed on 12 hours, feed off 12 hours here, probably middle of the week, right when they hit about 2 weeks old. I'll cut them back because they're growing pretty fast. I don't want them to overeat, grow too much. But that's the watering system I was telling you I was using, because the other one was only a 1 gallon, I think, and they're going through that pretty fast. So this one here, you can't see it probably. It's halfway full now. I filled it up and put it in here about noon, and it's like 5 o'clock, and they drank a gallon of water in like 5 hours. So I got them down, the heat down to 70 degrees. It's a pretty warm day in here. It's like 90 degrees right now, so the heat lamps aren't on. But they're doing great. They're doing great on the wire. It's so much cleaner. You can't see underneath, but man, there's just a nasty mess of stuff caught in the straw and stuff underneath. That stuff's all going to go in the compost pile, so it's fine. But at least I don't have to worry about cleaning it out while they're in the brooder. I don't have to clean it. It just goes right through. It stays super clean. So this is great. No foot problems or anything like that. Everybody's doing great. So haven't lost a single bird yet, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good. I don't want to ever lose birds, but at the same time, I got too many. I got to figure out what to do with them all. So hopefully my arm wasn't in the way the entire time. I don't think it is. Here, I'll move it out of the way for sure. I just realized I had my arm across the lens. So anyway, there's your shot of them. You can see how they're doing. All in all, pretty good. They're growing fast, starting to feather out. Cornish cross never completely feather out real well. They're always kind of an ugly bird. They're not real pretty. But you can tell on their wings especially that they're starting to get feathered out. So probably another maybe 2 weeks in here before I move them outside. And that has more to do with how big they are, and I don't run them over with the tractor when I move it, as opposed to cool, because I already got them down to 75 degrees. So I mean, just another couple of days, another 3-4 days, and they'll be probably off the heat lamps completely. Well, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I've been having a hard time lately keeping, and I want to apologize to you because I haven't been posting as regularly as I should. Haven't been putting up as many videos as I usually do, because it's just been really difficult. I've covered everything I can think of on quail, on rabbits, and the chickens. I've done whole videos on all that stuff, and I realize I got new subscribers, but it's getting hard for me to kind of come up with topics to address every week. So even though I haven't been good about responding to comments, leave your comments down below, like what you want to see in a video, because I do see the comments. There's so many of them coming through. I haven't got a chance to get in and respond to them, but I see them, and that's a lot of times where I get a video idea from. Somebody will ask me a question, and I'll be like, let me shoot a video and get that addressed. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and as always, God bless.